Festive holidaymakers have been warned to brace for heavy delays and snaking traffic across the country. This as people travel home to loved ones for Christmas. In Limpopo, moderate to heavy traffic is still expected on the N1 from Hammanskraal all the way up to Musina. A significant number of vehicles are also expected at Beitbridge Border Post crossing into Zimbabwe and the Groblersbrug Border Post to Botswana. Joining me now is Limpopo Department of Transport and Community Safety, Tidimalo, Chuene. Tidimalo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can you just give us an update on some of the most congested roads in Limpopo? Where should people be trying to avoid certain roads in order to avoid congestion?
Good morning and thank you. Yesterday was probably the heaviest traffic we've had this month, and that was on the N1 from Hammanskraal northbound towards Musina, and a lot of the congestion was around toll gates where we had impatient motorists forming their own lanes or even driving facing oncoming traffic. So the N1 generally is quite heavy at this time of the year, with most motorists getting home. And if you remember, the N1 is the route that leads to almost all districts ultimately in the province. And the two border posts, you join the N11 towards Groblersbrug Border Post, which is where we're expecting congestion, not really in terms of traffic flow, but the number of trucks that would queue there to be weighed and cross over into Botswana. We're also expecting some traffic significant for that matter at Beitbridge Border Post. But a lot of movement today is expected around towns and business districts across the province, because people will be making their last dash for the Christmas weekend shopping. So we're talking about Polokwane, Phalaborwa, we're talking about Musina, towns like Bojane First, Beggarsford and so forth, but other complexes within townships and so forth. That is where we're expecting traffic, and that is where we typically would get minor accidents like bumper-to-bumper accidents. But these are significant in the sense that they do create more congestion. So we're urging motorists to drive with caution and maintain that safe distance between themselves and the other vehicle to avoid congestion.
Are you expecting congestion to reach a peak a little later on, especially towards the border posts, or do you believe that that has already been done with yesterday?
Our law enforcement officers are prepared for that. We are still anticipating that. There are people who might have noticed yesterday's traffic as heavy and opted to travel today. So we are prepared for a slight peak at those two border posts that I've mentioned earlier.
You made mention of some bumper-to-bumper accidents. Do you have any fatalities on the roads, especially those on the national roads?
We do not have any major accidents, and we're thankful for that. The number of accidents that were reported on the N1 were not fatal. Some were very minor. There are two towards Polokwane where people sustained injuries. But like I said, we're grateful that we've not had any major or fatal accidents. Our biggest concern at this point, as traffic is now moving towards business districts and towns and where people are staying, is pedestrian safety. And that is where we're asking motorists to be on the lookout for pedestrians who might be crossing, but also pleading with pedestrians not to cross where it's not safe for them to do so.
All right. Thank you for that update, Tidimalo Chuene, who is the Limpopo Department of Transport spokesperson. Still continuing with this conversation, let's now speak to the N3 Toll Concession Operations Manager, Thania Dhoogra. Thania, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can you give us an update on what is happening on the roads on your side?
Hi, good morning, Kathleen. Good morning to all your viewers. The N3 is extremely busy at the moment. We're recording traffic volumes of around 1,200 vehicles an hour heading southbound towards KwaZulu-Natal, and that's been the status quo for pretty much most of the morning already, and we're expecting that that's going to continue into the early afternoon today.
Right. Are there any fatalities that have been recorded on the N3 in the last couple of days?
Tragically, yes, we have had a number of serious crash incidents that have resulted in fatalities on our route. It's very, very sad. And in most cases, I would like to think avoidable if motorists would adhere to a lot more to speed limits, but except in particular. But yes, we have.
Do we have any information on what caused those fatalities? Is it just a matter of speeding? Is there drinking and driving involved?
Unfortunately, I can't speak to the probable causes at this stage. That obviously law enforcement are busy with all of their investigations and they will release all of those statistics. What I can report is that a number of the incidents that we have recorded have been single vehicle crashes, and statistically, what we've seen is that the majority of crashes reported on our route have been single vehicle crashes, and that can largely be attributed to driver inaptitude or negligence.
Will we be seeing a higher security contingent? Are we going to be expecting more stop and searches for alcohol, for any other crimes that could possibly be mitigated on the roads?
Absolutely. It's already been ongoing. Law enforcement has heightened their presence on the route since the beginning of the peak season, and they are randomly carrying out stop and searches at strategic locations all along the route. So yes, motorists should definitely bear that in mind. It's better to just adhere to the rules of the road rather than be caught unawares in a situation that, like I said, is completely avoidable.
All right, Thania Dhoogra, thank you so much for that update. We will keep giving you those updates with regards to what's happening on our roads in South Africa. That was the N3 Toll Concession Operations Manager, Thania Dhoogra.